screen. Okay. So, is my screen visible to all of you? Okay, great. So, this is the poll section. So, we will be having some interactive polls in between the sessions, and this is the Q&A section. So, you can ask any of your doubts or queries in the Q&A sections. And for poll, I'm starting a poll, and you'll get a pop-up. So, would love to receive your answers. So please use the relevant sections to ask your doubts, or if you want to chit chat with others, you can use the chat sections. And if you want to ask any questions from the speaker, you can use the Q&A section. So we'll start at 4:05. Till then, you can introduce yourselves in the chat section. Waiting for your introductions. Okay. So we have Daksh. Okay, so I think Daksh was in the last event as well. The last event from the GSoC series, right? Yes, I do remember. You were asking many questions, and that's great. It would be great if you all can share the session link with your friends too. So I have made this session open, and this session is open for discussions as well. So please share the link, session link with your friends, and try to ask as many as questions you can, so that your doubts can be resolved. So we'll start in a minute. Okay, so welcome Rahul. Hope you are doing well.
I'm doing good. How are you, Lavneesh?
I am also doing well. So, everyone, this is Rahul, and he is the speaker for today. So, basically, Rahul is a software engineer at Botmock, and he has been a GSoC student twice for the R organization, or you can say R project.
Yes.
And he has been the mentor for the our organization for this year. So glad to have you in the session, Rahul. So before starting, let me introduce me first. I have introduced Rahul, and after my introduction, Rahul will begin the session. So basically, I am Lavneesh, and I am program manager at Commutal. So I have been an active part of the various communities in Delhi NCR region, and so basically, I am willing to create an impact with the power of people, and that's it, and that's why I am here at Commutal. So hope you all will have a really amazing session, and please do share the session link with your friends if you haven't shared it already. Over to you, Rahul.
Okay.
I
Thank
have
you.
stopped sharing my screen. You can share your screen now. And also, we have some exciting announcements as well. So you all can wait for the announcements. We'll be announcing them in the end. Okay,
Okay.
over to you.
Okay. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Rahul. First, let me introduce myself. So, as Lavneesh already introduced me, I am Rahul Chauhan, software engineer in Botmock. It's a startup in Canada. And as you already know, I completed GSoC in 2019 and 2020 as a student. And after that, just because you can only join GSoC as a student two times, so third time I applied. So I didn't apply. I get invitation to be a mentor in 2021. So that's how my journey start as a mentor in GSoC. So I'm going. Let me tell you what's today's agenda. So we are going to be very slow in beginning. So I am also going to give a brief introduction about what is GSoC, what is open source. I know there is already a session, but it's going to be a very short introduction so that we all can come on the same page. And after that, we can start talking about GSoC and data science, and not only a particular field in data science, we will see organizations that are focused for ML, computer vision, and deep learning, all those different organizations we will talking about. And after we view different organization, I will tell you about how you can start contributing in all those organizations. How will you choose a particular organization, and most important, how will you choose a particular project in an organization? And after project, the most important thing is how will you create your proposal. So all these things we are going to be talking about in today's session. And I want today's session to be very open and not just me speaking like a robot. So I want you to, if you have any questions, please write your question in the comment section, like in the chat box below. Or if you know something, if for example, if we are talking about a particular organization and you have a useful resource for that organization, like a group or our sweet chat session for that organization, please do share that in the chat session below. And also, introduce yourself. I would love to know more about you and what you did, all those things. So, all right, let's begin, I think. So, shall I start or shall we wait for a few minutes to the for join, Lavnish?
You can start. You can start now.
Okay, let's start with the most important question is like why we are here, why we are doing all these things, why Google start GSoC. So the answer is because of open source, right? Maybe we all know an abstract definition of open source. Like open source is something whose source code is available, right? It's a very simple definition. But why open source is quite famous. Like if you go to a company for interview and you said, okay, I am this person. I don't know data structure much. I can't solve this particular question. But from last 4 years, I'm contributing to different open source organizations, and these are my GitHub commits, and you can see. So, will that company reject you or will that company accept you? Obviously, if it's a good company, they will uh, consider you much more than those who can solve a simple data structure question. But question is why open source is so important for us. Like why Google start oh, Google Summer of Code to, like obviously Google start GSoC to like to promote open source, we can say. But what's the benefit behind this? So if if we can say opens, not only Google but most of the companies get many benefits from open source. So like we have different platforms, like you have must heard about Linux, Chromium, VLC, Mozilla, all these open source software. And using those open source software, like you can use those open source software, and if the license is correct, you can make your own product, right? So Chrome is based on Chromium, which is an open source browser. So Google used Chromium. Basically, it's a product of Google, but we can say Chromium is open source. Similarly, VLC. There are many paid uh, media players in the market, right? We have Apple Media Player. I forget the name, but as compared to VLC, it's nowhere close. So it can't even play MP4 files properly. But VLC, it can do more 99% of stuff, and that's also with so much proficiency. So the benefit of open source is you get full control over it. You have source code, you don't like anything, and if you are good at something or you know anything, you can change source code. So I recently, if you have noticed, during December or during Christmas time, the icon of VLC changes automatically, whether you are connected to internet or not. Whenever Christmas is near, the the VLC icon changes and there is a Santa Claus cap over it, if you have noticed that. So I got curious about it, like what's the coding behind it. So all I have to do to get my answer is just go to VLC repo, search for the code, and there my answer is right there in front of me. So there is a simple algorithm that's checking the date, and when date is around December, it will change the icon. So it's a simple program, but you are in full control. You don't like it, you can change it. And so that's one of the benefit of open source. And second thing is security. So as compared to Windows, if we talk about Windows and for example Ubuntu, which one would you use for your daily driver? Most of the programmer, not everyone, but most of the programmer prefer Linux-based operating system, not because of shell, but also for many other reasons. And Windows get much more prone to viruses and security threats. One of the reason it's like Windows is more used and hackers try to target people with more users, but there is also a security reason. For example, there is a bug there in Linux. For example, there is a bug there, uh, and they say at same time same bug arrive in Windows. It's a hypothetical bug. So Windows has few limited programmers who is few a dedicated team for testing and for solving that bug. But in Linux, everyone with the knowledge can contribute. Everyone with the knowledge can give their suggestions to how to fix that bug and how to uh, write a particular algorithm in such a way that this problem will never arise, or what are the other things that can be broken if with one solution or other. So because of the large number of people that can contribute, it's much more secure. And in the same way, because it's much more available, it's more stable. So you have seen nowadays Windows is very much prone to bug. People are seeing blue screen much often than before. So, but Linux, on the other hand, become more and more stable that day by day. So these are some few benefits, and everyone get benefit from open source. If you don't want to pay money, or for MS Office, you can use LibreOffice. If you don't want to pay money for a like media player, you can use VLC. There is an open source alternative for every software, I can say. And companies like Google also get benefits because they can save their research R&D time. So there's a public source, public software which everyone is already contributing. They don't have to put a particular resources, right? So same happen with Android, right, and all the other operating systems. So because of all those benefits, in 2006, Google started a program called Google Summer of Code, and the basic purpose is to just promote open source contributions, make you introduced to the open source community. And it's not an internship, it's a mentorship program. The goal is to introduce yourself to mentors of a particular organizations where you can learn how to start contribution, how to improve a particular software. And on the other hand, you will also get stipend. So there's a benefit for both organizations and Google, right? So organizations, people working on organization don't have enough resources, right? They are people who in that day doing their day-to-day job. So in that day they are 9 to 5 working, and in their free time or during weekends they work on contributions for open source, right? So they are not full-time workers, but they they need something, they need time or resources for their software to become more improved. So Google says to organizations, okay, what are your projects, what are your aims which you want to do, right? You create your project, you find student, and me, Google, will give stipend to those students. You don't have to share any resources, you don't have to spend any resources. I will do everything. All you need to do is find a project, find student for those projects, and that's all. So there are many misconceptions about GSoC, but the main goal is to introduce students with mentors. Okay, so now we are almost clear with what is GSoC, right? So there's benefit for organizations, they benefit for Google, but what's the benefit for you to spend 30 plus hours a week in writing a code or doing something new, right? So the first thing is like obviously you get to learn so much things. So during my first GSoC in 2019. I got selected in our organization, and initially I don't know much about R. Uh, Basically, I know the syntax. I know how to write for loops and all different kind of programs, but I've never made a project in R, right? But because I got selected and there's a pressure over me to complete a project, and there are mentors there to guide me, I learned so much in those 3 months than I would learn in entire college life, I would say. So how to use Git, GitHub, how to contribute, how to work in a team, all those things you can learn in just 3 months of GSoC. And second thing is like you have seen most of you people apply for a thing only when there is a benefit like swag. So currently Google discontinued delivering swags because there are only 4 and 5 people in Google working in GSoC. So there is a team of 4 or 5 people who is handling everything about GSoC from website to delivering swag. So because of so much haptic, they discontinued swag. But before 2020, you will get your stickers, a T-shirt with Google Summer of Code written, and all those things shipped to you. So that's also a reason. And third, and maybe most important reason for some people is the stipend. So during my time, my stipend was $3,000, and $3,000 for a college student who is just in his second year is, I believe, a quite lot of money. And if we convert in today's market, it's around 2,20,000. So you are getting 2 lakh rupees for just 3 months work. And imagine you are paying your college fees in second year or in first year. So that's a very motivating thing, I would say. And fourth thing is the title of GSoC. You are a GSoCer. That's more beneficial than anything else, right? So when you go to a company, you will say, okay, I am a GSoCer and I've completed this project. Are they going to ask same questions that they ask to normal persons? If it's a good company, I would say they will not. See, and yes, of course, there is a one more hidden things that some people know, some people don't know, is that when you complete your GSoC successfully, you will get recommendation for Google. So when you apply for Google in future, you will be treated as a GSoC student. So there is you will be given some priority over other students. So that's why we want to do GSoC, right? So finally, the main question is what should we do to get selected, right? We are all motivated now and we have all the doubts clear. But what's the thing that we should do to get selected? I'm taking a pause here of 1 minute. If you have any questions till now, please write them in your in chat session.
Okay, so everyone, you can ask your questions in the Q&A section. We are waiting for your questions, and we would be glad to answer them all. Okay. So Sagar is asking, do the mentors give a recommendation letter too?
So what let me tell you the exact process of how a proposal is selected. So when you give your proposal in GSoC website, when you submit a proposal, every mentor of that organization, if that organization have 60 or 70 mentors, everyone can see a proposal and they have full access to title and everything you have shared. So they vote for each and every proposal. Every mentor vote for every proposal there, and proposals with more votes and more recommendations get selected. So first you propose proposal, mentor vote each and every proposal accordingly, and then after once like popular proposal are shortlisted, organization will submit a request of how many projects. So like for example, 30 proposals are selected. Organization will ask Google, okay, we have 30 projects, give us seat for 30 projects. And then Google, based on organization history, will assign seats to each organizations. Like you can select 30 proposals. You can select 25 proposals, for example. Then organization from those 30 select all the top 25 proposal and student will get selected in that way. So it not only based on mentor of that particular project, but it based on mentors of whole organizations. I hope that clears your question.
Okay, so Daksh is asking, you mentioned that you got accepted in the R project without making any project. So, how did you manage to learn everything and make a project in a few weeks?
Okay, so there is a one different thing. So when I submitted a proposal, that proposal clearly shows that I have done full research about that project. My timeline was perfect. I've mentioned everything that on this particular day I'm going to introduce this method, how I'm going to introduce that particular method. The proposal is very detailed and it's a 20 plus page proposal. And based on that and my GitHub and other contributions that I made on other places, mentors assigned a ranking to me. And based on those ranking, I get selected. So if you don't know project, if you don't know R, obviously you don't get much preference. But if you have shown what you have done previously in R or in any other programming language, you have shown your projects, you have mentioned how you are going to do this particular project, you will get preference. And we
Okay,
will
Harsh,
talk about this.
sorry. Uh, Sorry for interruption. Okay, so Harsh is asking that can we apply for GSoC in the first year of college?
Yes. So the only thing you need to apply for GSOC is first you need to be a college student. Basically, you should be pursuing some degree and you should be 18 plus. That's the only two conditions you need.
Okay, so Sagar is asking, did you have any prior experience with R before applying?
So yes, obviously. So when I was choosing different projects, there were around 120 plus organizations and 1,000 plus projects there. So I go to GSOC website and filtered out each and every project. So I know different languages. Based on those languages, I filtered some projects. And R is one of my core language. So I'm pursuing data analytics in computer science. So it's one of my core language. So that's why I choose a project in R. And because I was confident that I can do it, I just start making proposal and then I got selected. So yes, I
Okay,
know R
great.
well.
So we'll take more questions. Let's move forward and we'll take more questions afterwards. So
Okay, let me
let
share my
us
screen.
continue to the session.
Okay, so our question is like, what should we do to get selected, right? So before starting and before showing everything about organization, let me give you some facts that will little bit motivate you. So every year, these are the stats of 2021. So this year, 91% of students who participate in GSOC are first time students, right? So your competition, you don't need to worry about like your competitor are trying from last 3 year or 4 years. 91% of people are just like you who are trying for first time. And if you're trying for second time, you have much more chances. Your competitors are only 9% there. So this is a very important thing that I looked during my proposal. So this gave me a confidence. And all the proposals, right? For example, 51,000 students registered in 2020. So they opened Google Summer of Code website and create their accounts. And 51,000 is quite a lot, quite a big number. But only 6,000 people out of 51,000 submit a proposal. So the rate of people submitting a proposal is too low. And from 6,000 students, 1,200 students already got selected. So if you see your competitor is like 1 in 6,000 and you have come here after giving IITs or different exams whose competition is much larger than this thing. So if you can clear those things, this is very easy for you. This should be very easy for you. And GSOC contain different types of projects. I can say some are related to math, some are related to data science, web, Android, and so you don't have to worry about those pursuing masters and those, because 70% are just undergraduate students like you. And there's a one very interesting thing is like top 12 colleges are from India. So those are mostly NITs and IITs, but most of the students selected are from India. So these are some very important things to know. Okay, so now let's start talking about how we can find organizations in data science and all those things. So instead of sharing slide, let me open GSoC website. Cool. Okay, so every time this screen changes every time during March. So currently we are in archive phase. So GSoC starts around March and continues till like September end. It varies every year, but approx timeline is this. But so currently we are in October. So you can see a screen like this where you can see all the archives. So archive means all the previous projects, all the previous organizations that were part of GSoC you can see here. And why these are useful is because official organizations list will come around January. So during January, you can see list of all the organizations that are participating in GSoC 2022 if you are working for 2022. But before that, there is no way to know which organization is going to be a part of GSoC. So for example, if you are contributing in X organization, you make contribution just to impress mentors to get your name known to other mentors. But during January you see that among the different organizations your organization didn't even uh, participate in GSoC. So to like it kind of luck also, but we can make a smart guess. So to so with the help of these archives, you can make your guess much smarter, like which organizations are going to be part. So for example, if an organization participating in 2018, 19, 20, 22, there are much chances that it will be participating in next year also. And organizations also mention on their pages, on their home pages, or there's a dedicated pages where they can mention that we are participating or we are not participating. So if you go, for example, let's say 2021, so these are all those open source organizations that participated in GSoC 2021. So and so now how will you find those organizations for your particular project, for your particular domain, I can say. So first thing is you can filter your category. For example, there's a web, science, end user, cloud. You can filter your organizations based on those categories. But uh, it's not perfect. I would say there are still some organizations which are very empty and that contains project that you can do. So best way is to go to each and every organization, not each and every organization, but most of the organization that you have heard of, and look at the topics that they have mentioned. So this particular organization, 52 Degree North, are working on science, right? Geography information, open standards, spatial information. So you can get an idea like it's related to somewhere maps or all those things, and they are using Java, JavaScript, and Python. And if you know these language, you know this particular field of domain, then you can view the ideas list. And based on ideas list, you can make your guess much more uh, smaller, like whether you should participate or whether you should select a project here or not. So let's take a different example from a different organization that's using deep learning. Okay, so there is an organization we all know. So you can see TensorFlow participated in 2020, 2021, 2019, and so there are much more chances that it will be participating in 2021, right? So if we go to 2021, you can see this organization is using machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, NLU, cloud computing. So if you are familiar in any of these topic, and then you can see, okay, I know Python, I am good in deep learning. let's view project for this particular organization. So you have filtered a organization from 190 plus organization, you have choose one. Then you can see projects. For example, one of the project is to Tensor Model Garden, TensorFlow Hub. So implement and publish state-of-the-art ML model in TensorFlow 2. So like 90% chances are there when you read this particular topic, it's go above your head. So it happens with me also when I read all the project, I didn't get any of them. But when I start searching a little, I give little bit of time, and after 15 to 20 minutes of understanding the topic, it's get much more simpler. And the only thing is in my mind is like I can do this thing. This is so simple and so easy to do. What are the next steps? So based on that, I selected a particular project in an organization from 2000 plus projects. I filtered one. And similarly, your journey didn't end there. Maybe there's something much more easier than this. So I continued my research. So we are in implementing and publish state of the art. So there's some detail about this particular project, what language is used, what are your targets, some reading materials. Every organization provide everything you need. And there is also mentors. In some organizations also mentions who are the mentors that going to be assigned to this particular project. Some mention, some not. This is all depend on organization. But when you understand the project, you can start contacting your mentors that I'm interested. I have this particular idea that we can do this thing in XYZ way, or I'm this path. What are your suggestions? And but for example, in this organization, there is no mentor. What you can do is you can join the mailing list. So mailing list allows you to come to join with the community where you can share your ideas, introduce yourself, and all those other things. So if you are targeting an organization, if you find any project in that organization, make sure you join that mailing list. As soon as mentors knows about you, your chances for getting selected is much more. So just assume there is a student who is contributing from last 6 months. Maybe they are a small contribution like readme changes or anything, but your or his name coming in front of mentors every few months. So when they are filtering projects and they see a particular name, familiar name, they will going to give more preference to that particular project because you have shown that you know Git and GitHub, you are an active contributor. So that's why GSoC contributions are so important. It is not necessary, it is only to make yourself visible from all other people. And if you have something extraordinary that only you can just go and say I'm going to do this thing and I have this talent. And if you are extraordinary, obviously contribution is not compulsory, but just to make yourself visible from all others, that's why people do contribution. And we're also going to talk about how we can do contributions, but later. Okay. So these are the projects. Obviously, we are looking at 2021, so this is already being done, and you can also see which project are selected. So you can see these are the project that got selected. And if you see source code for any project, right? For example, this is the project and student completed this thing. So he made 5 or 6 pull requests, and those pull requests are maybe small, maybe much more larger. But it's not something that you can't do. It's much more easier. Maybe you can find most of the things as just copy and paste. Obviously it's not like your college thing where you can just learn something one day before and give exam, but you should have some knowledge, but it's not something that a first year student can't do. Anyone can do if you are dedicated. Okay, let's see some of the other organizations. So I have made a list here of all those organizations who are participating in this particular field. So I will share this resource with you soon, but so there is an aerospace research, whose field is machine learning, and Cloud CV is very famous organization which focus on all the ML, AI, deep learning, cloud vision, and reinforcement learning. And most of them are using Python. So these are the organization that I can share with you, or you can take screenshot if you like. So like how I came up with these particular organizations, it's the same procedure. I go to Google Summer of Code website and look at each and every organization. So, for example, I go to About Code, see what are the topics they are mentioning. There's nothing interested in my language. They are using Python, but they are not using Python in machine learning or anything. So I came back, choose a different project, similarly, and so on. So during 2022, when organization arrives, your goal should be like this. So you go to each and every project organization and filter the organizations. So that's how I come up with aerospace. I look up, they are using signal processing, machine learning here. So any questions till now?
Okay, so everyone, you can ask your questions in the Q&A section. Okay, Daksh is asking, can you organize in can you apply in multiple organizations as well?
So yes, Dakshit, you can submit 3 proposal every year. So it can be in a single organization or it can be in 3 different organizations, but you can submit 3 different proposals. And for example, you get selected in both organization A and B. So now you get to choose which organization you want to contribute. Organization also knows that this student is applying in those 2 organizations also, but only after when they select your project. So they can make your decision accordingly. They can also talk to different organization internally and make decisions.
Okay, so people are asking for the sheet link. So you'll receive a mail regarding all the resources that are being used in this session after the event. We'll share them to you soon. No need to worry about that. Okay, any more questions? Anyone having any question?
Okay, so
Okay.
Daksh
I
is
think we
asking one
are-
question. All of these seems very complex, and for the experienced people, how many projects do you think can a beginner apply for? So during making a project, there is one thing in mind for all the mentors, right? So those projects are for beginners, right? They are not made for professionals who are working in jobs. They are made for college students and first year, second year, third year students. So if you look at a project, it initially it will seem very difficult, and it's not about GSoC. Every project, if you see, it will seem difficult in starting, but if you get familiar with the base source code, get familiar with the coding hierarchy and all those things, you yourself will starting that it's not that much complex as I'm thinking. So just give it some time, and things will become easy.
Okay. So now Harsh is asking, are communication skills necessary for GSOC?
Okay, like you should be able to. Uh, so during GSoC, when you get selected, for example, if you get selected and you get your project, so when you are working for project, you will be in continuous communication with your mentor. So it could be via mails, it could be via regular meeting links, Zoom links, but you will be communicating at least once a week or twice a week. It is not necessary that you will be fluent in English or anything, but you should be able to communicate your thoughts to your mentors or understanding what they are saying. At least this is the minimum thing. And all the other things required is basically your GitHub profile should be like attractive, and you should know how to use Git and GitHub, which you can learn on the go. But it's not something that's necessary.
Okay, so I think we should continue and we'll take another Q&A session after 15 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Okay, so now we know how we can find our organizations, how we can filter each and every project. Now, next question is how to get selected and how should I write proposal? How should my proposal like look different from all other proposals? So, for example, let's take this TensorFlow organization as our main goal for now. So we selected our project and now we want to start contribution. So we are only doing contributions just to get more familiar with source code and also to make yourself much more visible. But that's how we do. So if we go to GitHub page for this organization, you can see there are different repos. For example, in the project repo, you can see there are different issues. And issues can be as simple as changing a README file or as complex as creating a new features. But if you are familiar with Git and GitHub, you can use the label as a filter. So in some organizations has label like good for beginners, beginners friendly. So this organization didn't have, but you can see this is using TensorFlow. It's a type of features, and basically you filters. You find one issue that you can do, and then after understanding the issue, there is obviously everything about that. What are the system requirements? What are the things that needs to be done? How it's need to be done? What are the problems? And you just make a contribution. If you making a contribution is so much related to Git and GitHub, but to make a contribution in organization, all you need to do is go to GitHub repo of that organization, find issue, and start contributing. So GSoC will start in March, and currently it's October end. So if today is November, you have still 5 months to make contribution or to make two, three different contributions, right? And the more contributions you make, I would say it's a direct relation. It's not compulsory, but it's a direct relation between your chances of getting selected and the number of contributions you made. Okay, so now you have made a contributions. You have your name in mind of different mentors. What are the next thing? Next thing is to write a particular proposal. So let's again go back to our project. So hypothetically, we are choosing this particular project for this uh, workshop event. So let's see. So what I did during my GSoC is just directly Googled some famous proposals in that particular organizations, those proposals which get selected. And I didn't copy paste the content because obviously that's going to be so much different for each project. But I understand the core headings. What are the things that should be there in a proposal? What are the things that should make sense? So, like about you, introduce yourself. These are the things that should be there in a proposal. So, about a project, who are you, where you are working, your GitHub repository, your previous contributions, uh, where you located, how many hours you can give to GSoC in particular week, and all those information, as much information as you can give about yourself, and then about your project. If your description is too detailed, this will create a different impact because as a mentor, when I'm reading different proposal, some description are just one line and those are just directly copy paste from the project heading. So some directly copy paste description as this thing. Some student write a whole page description telling like this project comes from that particular idea, this is the idea of how to solve, what are the problem it's going to solve. And compared to those two students, I would choose the second one because in my mind I have an idea that this student has done some research. He knows about this project much more than the other person. Maybe his coding skill is zero. Maybe first person coding skill is 100%. But in my mind, I would choose second because he showed me that he knows the project much more better than any other student. And after the description, you can mention how you are going to do this. You can write some examples of functions or methods that you are going to solve. For example, in deep learning, you can show how you're planning to create a simple ML model, what are the parameters you're going to use, and all those different example. And after that, one thing that I would say create a huge impact is to writing about timeline. So it's not about saying I can do this thing, I can do this thing. It's like when and prop and with proper planning, I'm going to do this thing. So for example, this student said on April 8, I found on, for example, in June 17, I will complete milestone one introduction YouTube video or something. So this will say that he has full planning of each and every day. What are his goal of day one? What are his goal of first week, first month, first review? And this will create a different impact. So about you, about project and timeline. And this could be as detailed as possible. So initially, I created a proposal. I write these things and then I shared my proposal with mentors. So I get information about mentors and I contacted him that I am interested in this project. I know about this thing and what are the resources you can share with me. And after that, after submitting to GSoC, I also write a mail that I've shared this proposal. And they help me with different resources. So from 7 page, my proposal went to 20 page just by communicating with mentors because they have much more experience. They want your project to be selected, but you have to be dedicated for that. So be in continuous contact with your mentor. Let's see another example. So this is another project that for proposal that was for TensorFlow, and you can see he also used most of the same things. So there is an introduction about himself, use a tabular form. So his about me section contains why TensorFlow project, why he's choosing this organization, how much time he is able to give during next 3 months, 20 to 25 hours. He mentioned that he will be devoting 45 plus hours until September 2nd. Other commitments, is he planning to do any other internship, because all those things matter while making a decision, right? And then when what are the benefits community is going to get from his by selecting himself. So he just convincing mentors that he's the best among everyone. And now projects, as I mentioned, he already has milestone. First is data pre-processing, word embedding, and so on, so on. Then his deliverables and his timelines. So, uh, as I say, it's a good habit to Google famous proposals, but using those headings, you can write your proposal as detailed as possible. And second thing is, yes, be in continuous contact with your mentor. All right, what we have next is question answer.
Okay, so let's have another round of Q&A. Okay. So Daksh is asking, is there any limit how long should your proposal be?
So technically there is no limit. So I've seen proposal from 2 pages to 30 plus pages during my mentor when I was mentor, and there is
Yes.
no such limit.
Okay, Gaurav is asking, in GSoC, you have to solve the problem of the organization, or we can also submit our new ideas for the organization.
So the answer is you can do both. For example, in TensorFlow that we are looking, there are some ideas, but if you have a unique idea that you want, you can propose your idea to an organization. So in the mailing list that we have saw, you can propose that I have this particular idea, and basically a whole description up. You will submit a proposal for that project now. And if mentors, or for example, if organization admins likes your proposal, they will assign mentors to your project. Now you have your project. Now you have mentors which are good in that particular field, and then you will get selected in your own particular project.
Okay.
And
So
there's one more benefit of doing that. It's like, because it's your project, no other proposal will be counted, because you know your project as best as anyone else.
yes. So Sagar is asking that how much time we get for the project proposal submission after the announcement in January.
Okay, so organization list will announce in January, and you have until March end or maybe April end. So you have minimum 3 to 4 months to work on your proposal, and 3 to 4 months is quite a big time. And most of the students, like 80% of them, starts in late March.
Okay. Okay, so if anyone else is having any question, please free to ask them in the chat section. Also, I have shared the link for our next session, which is around GSoC around data science. Oh, this one is around data science, and the next session is around web development organizations. So, if you are into web development as well, please feel free to register for the event and feel free to share the same with your friends. Okay, so Daksh is asking, just a second, let me scroll. Should you apply early? Will that give an advantage for acceptance?
Uh, Technically, yes. So there is a particular timeline for you to submit your proposal. So it's like 15 days timeline where Google will enable student to submit their proposal, and you can submit your proposal on very first day. So initially you can submit a Google Doc link, and if if it's a link, you can edit it as many as time as you want. And you can also, when you submit your link on first day, mentors, there are very few proposals at starting, so mentors can read through thoroughly of your proposals, and they will get to know you much sooner than other students. So there is an advantage, and there is no disadvantage. You can submit your proposal as many times as you want. So if you submit a proper PDF, final PDF, you can make changes up to last minute. But many times it happens that student wait till very last minute, and during last minute something happens like electricity problem or internet problem, and they couldn't even submit a proposal. So it's a good habit to submit your proposal as soon as possible.
Okay, so Rohit is asking whether we should have to submit the proposal via mail or via GitHub.
Okay, so to submit a proposal, there is a proper syntax. So your proposal should be in Google Docs, right? You can choose any size or format you want, but it should be a Google Docs. And you have to go on googlesummerofcode.com website. There you will get an option to submit your proposal. It's not through mail or GitHub, but it's on GSoC website.
Okay, so Sagar is asking, are projects announced with the organizations or they are announced later on?
So on GSoC websites, projects are announced later, but on 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 organizations websites you can see a project. Even today you can start seeing projects of different organizations. So for example, if you go to TensorFlow, you can see there should be a page which says project for GSoC 2022. So that will give you idea about what projects are going to be there. So you can see projects today itself.
Harsh is asking how to manage college studies during GSoC. Interesting.
Ask for NOC.
The easiest way possible.
Yes. Just said
Okay.
that I'm going to work in Google. They're not going to research.
Okay, so Momita is asking when we have to join open source organization. What is the best time actually?
Uh, Basically, I would rephrase your question is what is the best time to start contributing? So the answer is as soon as possible. So there is nothing like you should start in March or you should start in October. Any time of the year, if you get an issue which you can solve, you can start contributing. Even it's in last year, it will be counted. For example, if you make a contribution in X organization and that X organization didn't get selected in GSoC 2022, but you have already showed your capability that you know how to contribute, so you can also mention those contributions during your proposal. So anytime any organization will work as soon as you get chance to show your skills.
Aman is asking how much preparation should I do before applying for GSoC in terms of coding and programming. So,
So preparation is like you should be familiar with at least basics of programming. So there's not you don't have to you don't have to solve a particular question like how to reverse a palindrome or anything, but you have to make real world project, right? And I would say if you know basics and you have guidance of mentors, you can learn on the go. Even after you get selected, you can learn, but at least you know that much that you understand the project and you have little bit of idea.
okay, great. Let me just share my screen. So, I hope you all enjoyed this session. Okay, there are some more questions. If we guess which organization will be selected, so how much it we benefit that we interact with this organization before sending the proposal. Okay, so someone is asking that how we will be benefited interacting with the mentors and the organization admins before uh, the announcement of organizations, I think.
uh, like there should be a proper balance. So, for example, if you start approaching mentors, like I'm interested, I've done this thing, and you are sending mail every week or every month, it may get annoying for mentors, and they may start thinking that he only wants to contribute just for Google Summer of Code. Maybe he will run away after GSoC. So
Hmm.
that's very important to make a proper balance between quality conversation and only quality conversations.
Great. So Dhruv is asking that should we include diagrams or flowchart in our proposals?
If it explains your project much better, then surely there is no particular syntax like you should write your proposal in that way. You can you can be as creative as you can or as simple.
That's great. Thank you so much, Rahul, for this amazing session. And it was really nice to have you for the session. And I hope the audience enjoyed a lot and got their doubts clear. So, everyone, I would like to share that we are also having a GSoC channel on Commoodle as well. I'm sharing the link in the chat section. So if you are having any doubts or queries further the sessions, you can just ask them. You can put them in that particular channel, and they will be answered by the expert soon. So I'm sharing the channel link. Just a second. I have sent the channel link into the chat section. Okay, so also one more thing, our share your build contest is going on right now. We keep organizing some fun stuffs and contests. So please feel free to participate. So I hope you all have built some side projects or some mini projects or major projects for your college or for your internships or for your resumes. So you can share them on Commoodle in the build section and get a chance to win a t-shirt. I want to participate in it. Okay, so basically we are giving out a t-shirt every week for the festive season currently. So it's live for this week, and it would be great if you all can share your build contest with your friends as well. So in the mail, we will be sending a WhatsApp flyer as well. If you want to share it with your friends, you can do that. So thank you so much, Rahul, once again, and it was really nice to have you on board as a speaker. And
Thank you. It was my
everyone, all
pleasure,
the
and
best.
it's a very quality talk, I would say.
Yes. So also all the best for everyone for their participation in GSoC. Hope you write the best proposals after getting advice from former GSoCers and GSoC mentors, and you get selected. Okay. So let's end this session then. Have a nice day. Have a great weekend, everyone.